Welcome back, everyone. It is Dibble time once again, and this time with more of the Hornlock Spar. So I actually have to do something this time. Absolutely tragic. However, it was incredibly interesting to see this one, so I'm very, very happy overall. It was nice to go through instead of the friggin' strafing, whatever, again for the 50th time. We get something a little bit more interesting. A lot more movement to this one, as you'll see, so I had to include a fair amount. Like, a lot of this is the feet and the legs, again, because, I mean, that's most of where Dibble's movement is going to be in, because he's just got so much leggy to work with. So it was a lot of adjustments there, and so you're gonna see a lot of that, but it does shift a little bit to the body and the shoulders and a little bit every now and again. The head stays mostly the same, if not entirely the same. I don't remember any major adjustments to it or anything, at least. There was surprisingly little to do with the tail, at least from when I was watching. It was probably done earlier on. But as I watched it and got towards the end, the tail moves a lot. Like, right here it's not too bad, at least where I'm watching right now as I voice this. There's some movement there, and you expect some movement. However, with the final product, if I'm recalling it correctly, it was very, very, very rubbery, like flopping all over the place, sort of just flailing around. I didn't expect that. I don't think that's how that would work. Like, tails don't tend to just kind of rubbery flop all over the place like a toy. I expect it to be a little bit more stiff, and yes, I do expect movement, but definitely not what ends up being there by the end, but I guess we'll get to that, I suppose. Overall, a lot of the leg movements and whatnot, so there was a lot more to see this time, instead of a whole bunch of the little squiggle menu thing that he brings up often, which you'll still see here, and a lot of that was cut out, but there was some left behind a little bit more than usual. But overall, this one was definitely more interesting than the one that I got yesterday. A lot less hovering, a lot more moving, a lot more... You can feel that he's actually trying with this one. I had mentioned earlier that the animation on its own yesterday seemed funky. And it's sort of a duh that it would. However, what I more mean is I couldn't tell what it was doing until something else was involved with it. And with most good animations, you can tell right away what's going on. Like with the Ceratosaurus swimming, for instance, you could instantly tell it was in the water, and it was attacking. Easy. This one is like that, where you know it is pushing against something. You can tell just by looking at it that something's going on. I didn't need anything else to show me that. It's obvious. And I think most animations should be that way. Where you can tell at a glance what on earth is going on. It makes it feel more complete, I guess you could say. A little bit more like, you know, it doesn't need props in order to get the point across. You can tell just by looking, hey, he's struggling against something. Whether that's another dinosaur or he's just pushing against a tree for some reason, who knows? But you can tell what's going on. And that's what I like to see. But anyhow, I guess I should say overall, it goes mostly without saying that I really liked this one, especially compared to the last several ones that I've been having to skim through. This one had a lot going on, a lot more depth to it, a lot more just you could see what was happening, the adjustments being made, and all that fun stuff. There wasn't as much of a base for him to trail off of. You could still see it, but there was still a lot more of him moving things around and being able to see the animation as it forms, rather than it's already basically there and there's just some minor tweaks to it. This one changes a lot from start to finish. You can definitely see its little journey through the various stages of animation. It was interesting. I liked it a lot. As you can see, because there's actually more of it to show, there's more interesting stuff to look at. And it's quite different from what we've been getting so far, so that's nice. Overall, again, nice stream. Liked it a lot. You can actually tell what's going on, and he is moving more or less how I'd expect, which is always good. The only gripe was with the tail again, where it would just jiggle around a lot. But, I mean, hopefully it'll get fixed. We'll see, I suppose. The Isle seems to have a lot of things where the tails or the heads move a lot more than they probably should. But it's an easy fix, and hopefully it'll get toned down by the end of it, because this one could still be a work in progress as well. I don't know if the one we see at the end here is the final version, or if it's just where he left off for the day and he's going to continue it later on. Because we've seen that, where he'll leave it at a point, and then the next stream he continues where he left off, and it gets refined a lot more from there. So it could be one of those, don't know. But from the final that we're given here, I guess my only gripe, again, would be the tail. And I think that was about it. Like, there's probably more going on that could be said. Like, maybe the right leg isn't moving quite as much as it should, but most of my attention goes to the tail and how it's flopping around like a toy. But aside from that, I think I like it. It's good. It gets the point across. You can definitely tell he's fighting something or pushing against something. You can tell, blah, blah, blah. I've said it 50 times. It's a good animation and I like it. Or at least good for what its purpose is. But that should be enough on that. I think I've covered that stream as much as I can. There's only so many times you can say, well, leggy got moved, or feetsies got adjusted, and that the animation's pretty okay. I mean, in this case, I did like this one a decent amount, so there's not as much to say, minus the tail, which I already went over, so there's no point. Anyhow, there we are, that one's done, and now on to the final section where I talk about just about anything. Granted, I guess I've done that in the middle of it every now and again anyhow, because sometimes there's just not much to say. I mean, especially as you go on, a lot of the streams are very, very samey, because, I mean, it's animation. So a lot of them are going to be things like walking or moving in similar ways to each other, and it's like, well, I've already said I liked how this looked 50 times, so now what? And I'm not an animator, so I can't really talk about, you know, the nitty-gritty stuff. So I just talk about, oh, it looks nice. Oh, it looks alright. Oh, it's adjusting things here and there. I don't know the details, so I can't talk about that. And I have no interest in learning them, so there we go. These have thankfully been getting shorter, though, so it's been a little bit easier to go through editing-wise, because I have to watch them through a few times to try to make sure there's no mistakes. Stuff probably still gets through. I'm sure you guys have probably seen weird stuff, and when I render it afterwards, I don't watch it again. So if something explodes there, then I probably won't notice it. Whoops. Unless, of course, one of my friends points it out if they happen to see it. But, it's fine. It gets the job done. It's just, a lot of it's just there as an archive, or as much of an archive as you can get. I have to chop it up so much, even that's a little bit generous term, I guess you could say. But it is what it is. It looks like, from what recent comments have been saying, the Unreal Engine 5 stuff has been what's holding the update back, so hopefully that's the truth this time around. Hopefully the Trudon stuff is fixed, and it's just tweaking Unreal Engine whatevers, and then the rest will be fine. On top of that, I really hope that when they do release the update, it helps with, you know, the optimization and all that, because last I played the Isle, it ran terribly. It was horrible. Arc runs better, and that's, it's pretty sad, to say it lightly. It's really sad when Arc is running better. Arc is the game I go to where, when I need to test like if I've replaced something on my computer, I go to Arc in order to test it, because it's just such a terribly running game. If it can run Arc, it can run just about anything else. So that is usually my standard, and those who have played Arc or seen Arc probably know what I'm talking about, because it's not good. It's really not good. But on the note of games, and that isn't the Isle related, because the update still isn't out, so I've been poking at other stuff. My friend finally convinced me to get Monster Hunter Rise, and so I might be playing that at some point. I'll see if I'll record it. I might scrap the idea of doing the Sons of the Forest stuff when I see all the issues with that one, and I'm like, I don't know how much I really want to mess with it. Like, the big YouTubers can easily get stuff fixed if YouTube flags them for something. But my channel is not big by any means. Like, it's bigger than I thought it would ever be, that's for sure, and it's still a little bit overwhelming to think about. But in terms of YouTube bigness, this channel is small fry. So if something big did happen, it would be very difficult to fix, because YouTube's customer service is trash. Like, absolutely horrible. So I think it's probably just easier to stick to Monster Hunter, where it's not considered, like, super duper violent or anything, and there's no nudity. Except for the monsters are naked, I suppose, but thankfully that doesn't seem to count, so we're good. But I'm excited to mess with that. I've never played a proper Monster Hunter game before. I played stories, and I still need to edit through that. I'm still working on it. But the stream stuff takes my editing time, you could say. I have time for other stuff through the day, and my editing time will all go to the streams or the Discord stuff. So if I post these, or I'm working on these, I can't work on any of the rest. I just don't have the time, or the energy, or the will. But I was slowly making my way through some of the other Monster Hunter stories stuff. I know that's not quite as interesting to you guys, but I do want to still complete it and get it posted, because well, I guess you could say it's worth doing, if not for the experience in doing it. It's something on the side that keeps me entertained, and I enjoy doing that. I enjoy editing those more than most of the other stuff that I edit. And I want to add more funky little memes and whatnot to it, but I haven't really had the energy for that, so I just usually do the one at the start and the end, and I call it quits there. But I have enjoyed that series quite a bit, even though I didn't have it set up to muffle out my keyboard, so that was a bit of a disappointment in my regard. But it gets better after a while, and unfortunately that a while is quite a while, so we'll see. But Rise is a proper Monster Hunter game, which means I have to go through the struggles of learning how stupid keybinds work, because, I always hear about how clunky the Monster Hunter ports are, and I have a feeling I'm about to find out very quickly in how that works. I don't have a controller, so I can't use one, and I wouldn't really want to anyway. I'm used to a PC, and the only controllers I ever really liked the feel of were the Nintendo GameCube ones. They were just like peak controller. It feels nice to hold. It was easy to get to all the buttons and stuff. It just felt good. Most of the other controllers I've had experience with since then have been clunky and weird in some way. And it's not even just because I've used the GameCube one a lot. It just feels better. I don't quite know how else to describe it, but I imagine most of you guys probably know, because Nintendo keeps bringing out different versions of the GameCube controller for the other consoles, so it's like, well guys, you know that's a sign, right? People really like this design, you should probably, use it. But, it'd be that way. Whatever the case, I look forward to it, kind of, but also not really. We'll see. I'll see if I end up recording it or not. Well, I'll see. I'll get to that when I get to it. I was stuck on trying to make my Palamute for a while because I couldn't decide what to make it. And then my friend's like, oh hey, you can make more of them later on. And I'm like, oh, well, that's good, because now I don't have to sit here, like, trying to choose a starter Pokemon, except you can never get the other one ever again. At least in Pokemon you can trade or whatever, but in this case it'd be like, well, I can't make another one, so there you go, it's done. Anyway, I need to go work on some other stuff, but yes, Monster Hunter, I'll maybe get around to posting it, we'll see how it goes. Late to the party, because again, I've never played any other Monster Hunter games aside from Stories, which is a side little spin-off Pokemon game sort of thing. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. But anyhow, I hope you guys have been having fun with whatever games and stuff you guys have been doing. Have a great day, night, whatever time you see it, and goodbye!
Thank you.